Revealed, the incredible mother-in-law who changed my daughter's life forever, an unexpected toast. Sarah stared at the invitation, the gold lettering shimmering under the kitchen light. The thought of a family gathering filled her with anxiety. It was supposed to be a celebration, but to her, it felt more like a ticking time bomb. Her mother-in-law, Edith, vibrant and relentless, had a knack for steering the ship. Just when Sarah thought she could handle life's storms alone, here came Edith, ready to drop anchor and take control. The small, modest dining room buzzed with laughter as friends and neighbors arrived, but Sarah's heart was heavy. She worked 2 jobs, barely scraping by, and now she was expected to host a gathering that brought her family under one roof. At that moment, all she could think about was the weight of expectations and her daughter, Lily, longing for more opportunities, more freedom from the grind that stifled their dreams. As the night progressed, Edith moved from group to group, her laughter warming the space, captivating everyone, except Sarah. Seeing her mother-in-law in her element grated on her nerves. The sharp remarks, the critical glances, it felt like a weight pressing down on her. But then Lily spoke up, her voice strong despite the tremor of nerves. "Mom, I'm going to think big. I'll get scholarships, I'll find a way," Lily said, her eyes sparkling with ambition that Sarah wished she could nurture without the looming shadow of doubt. Suddenly, Edith raised her glass. The room fell silent, and all eyes were on her. "I want to share something," she began, her voice low yet steady. Sarah felt a shudder. This could go one of 2 ways. With each word, Edith unraveled her story, the hardships of her youth, her struggles as a single mother, and how every setback fueled her fight. Tears shimmered in the corners of her eyes as she spoke of dreams that slipped through her fingers and battles she waged alone. For the first time, Sarah saw her differently. This was not just a mother-in-law but a fierce warrior who had endured. "I implore you both," Edith's voice cracked, "don't let fear hold you back. Fight for what you want." That night, the room filled with emotions too heavy to name. Sarah felt her world shatter and rebuild in those moments. She tucked her insecurities away, but they wouldn't stay hidden for long. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The days following the toast felt different. Undercurrents of tension rippled through the apartment. Dinner was silent, the air thick, a swirling storm fueled by unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Each glance felt like a layer peeling back, exposing raw parts that were begging to heal. Finally, during a mundane evening, the building pressure erupted. "You think you know it all, don't you, Edith?" Sarah snapped, hurt spilling into every word. Lily watched, her heart sinking as the years of resentment burst free. Echoes of painful exchanges unfolded, fueled by the weight of their experiences. The colors of hope felt dim. They faced their choices like a trio of ghosts tethered to a past that haunted them. Could they weave their stories together? Would love rise above resentment, transforming their fractures into pathways for healing? As the chapter closed, the air buzzed with uncertainty. What would they make of this legacy of resilience? Would it bring them together or pull them apart? The silence that followed Sarah's accusation felt thick, as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Lily sat between them, her heart racing. She wanted to jump in, to mediate the brewing storm, but she felt frozen, caught off guard. The walls felt as if they were closing in, the familiar sense of home turning stale. Edith's laughter faded like sound from a broken radio, leaving behind shock. "What do you mean, Sarah?" Her voice trembled, not from anger but from disbelief. "I just wanted to share my story to inspire." "Maybe I don't need inspiration from you," Sarah shot back, the words harsh on her tongue. It shocked her, the way her own voice turned against her. Was this really how she wanted to react? Lily's eyes darted between them, feeling like a referee in a game she never signed up for. "Mom, maybe we should just take a minute." No. Sarah's voice cracked slightly. You don't get it, Lily. This is the problem. It's always about the expectations. I'm tired of pretending everything is okay. I can't be strong like you want me to be. Her heart raced, the truth spilling from her mouth like a river breaking through a dam. Edith flinched as though struck, her eyes wide. I thought I was helping. You think this was easy for me? I fought every day for my children. I know, but you were never there when I needed you. Sarah's chest heaved, balancing on the precarious edge of emotion. You were fighting your battles, but who fought ours? Lily willed herself not to cry, wanting to mend, not to break. Mom, Edith, let us just breathe for a moment. Breathe? Sarah laughed, but it was sharp and bitter. What did all that sacrifice mean if we can't talk about it? Why do you always think of me as weak? With that question hanging, silence enveloped them again. Edith's face softened, a touch of understanding creeping in. I never thought you were weak, Sarah. I just want you to be strong, to believe in yourself. Their eyes met, a simmering pool of unvoiced fears and dreams. The intensity of the moment crackled in the air. I don't know how to believe in myself, Sarah confessed quietly, the fight draining away, leaving vulnerability in its place. I'm scared, terrified I'll fail even worse than you did. In a rare moment, Edith crossed the room, wrapping her arms around Sarah, pulling her close. It felt strange but needed, like a missing piece suddenly fitting. We all have our battles. But you don't have to fight alone, sweetie. Heartbeats synchronized as their mutual sorrow took shape, a heartbreaking kind of understanding melding the generations. But as they lingered in the embrace, they felt the presence of more unspoken words. Lily watched as the two women in her life stood on the edge of a new beginning, the possibilities glimmering faintly before them. Maybe we could take that strength and create something together, a new chapter? She suggested tentatively, hope flickering in her voice. Could we? Sarah whispered, glancing at Edith, the question hanging softly in the air, ripe with potential. Just then, a knock echoed through the home, disrupting the moment. The possibility of a fresh start lingered on the horizon, but the unexpected visitor might change everything again. Who could it be? Would this new face bring them closer, or further unravel their hard-won connection? The knock echoed again, louder this time, a persistent reminder of reality. Lily broke free from her thoughts and walked toward the door, her heart pounding. Who could it be? Her mind raced with possibilities: another family member, a friend, or perhaps someone from the past. As she opened the door, the bright summer sun flooded in, momentarily blinding her. When her eyes adjusted, she gasped. Standing there was Martha, her mother's sister, and someone they hadn't seen in years. Her smile was wide, but there was an edge of worry tugging at the corners of her mouth. Martha! Lily exclaimed. What are you doing here? Oh, Lily, I just had a feeling I needed to come. It's so good to see you. Martha stepped inside, her presence filling the room like a fresh breeze. I must say, it feels like forever since we had a family gathering. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Before Lily could respond, Sarah peeked from the living room, her eyebrows darting up in surprise. Aunt Martha? The mix of emotions on her face was palpable, a blend of surprise and warmth. It had been too long since their family had come together, and the uncertainty of how this would go hung in the air like smoke. Edith was now standing in the doorway of the living room, her arms still wrapped loosely around Sarah. Martha? My goodness, it's been ages. The tension in the room shifted as Martha approached them, pulling Edith into a tight embrace. I'm so proud of you, Edith. I've heard so much from your daughters. They're amazing. As they pulled apart, Edith's face softened, but there was a flicker of unease in her eyes. We've had our struggles, like everyone. Struggles are what make us human, Martha said gently, her voice soothing. I came to share something important, something I've kept to myself for too long. Lily glanced at Sarah, both feeling a pang of curiosity and concern. What could Martha possibly want to share? It felt like the air had thickened again, the moment holding a promise of revelation. I've spoken to both of you individually about finding your voices. But I think it's time I share my story as well. Martha breathed in deeply, catching her breath. It's about the sacrifices I made, the regrets I carry and the love that kept me going. The words stunned them into silence. Sarah's grip on Edith tightened, while Lily leaned in, eager yet apprehensive. Would her Aunt's past hold the key to understanding their own family dynamics? Martha looked back and forth between them, her eyes alight with a spark of determination. You see, every family has its skeletons. But those skeletons don't have to haunt us. They can help us grow. Edith sighed, the weight of their shared history pulling at her. What do you mean? Martha's expression grew serious. There were things I never told you, regrets that shaped me. If you're willing, I'd like to start there. We can face our hurts together and maybe find the healing we've been seeking. Tension replaced the sweetness of the earlier moment. Would they be ready to confront the past as a family? Would Martha's revelations tear them apart or bring them closer? Are you all in? Martha's challenge hung between them, offering hope and uncertainty in equal measure. As they exchanged glances, the potential loomed large. This could be a moment of clarity or a plunge into chaos. The choice lay before them, and they could feel it in their bones. What would they decide to reveal? The road ahead glimmered with possibilities, but it demanded courage. What truths would they uncover together? Martha took a step closer, her gaze fixed on each of them. I don't want to just dump this on you. I want to create a space where we can all share, cry, and, hopefully, heal. Her sincerity cracked through the discomfort in the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. Edith nodded slowly, her mind swirling with old memories she thought she'd buried. Okay, she said finally. I'm willing to listen. Me too, Sarah chimed in, though her voice trembled slightly. What do we need to know? Martha took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she clasped them together. It all started years ago, long before any of you were born. I made choices that affected not just me, but the whole family. Her eyes darkened with the weight of her past. Lily felt the air shift, thickening with anticipation. There was something primal about this moment, something that felt like it could either pull them closer or tear them apart. She steeled herself, not wanting to miss a beat of this pivotal moment. I married young, Martha continued, and it wasn't for love. At that time, I thought I had everything figured out, but I was lonely. Your mother, Edith, and I had our differences about family and commitment. I thought that starting my own family would fill that void, but it didn't. Edith's expression softened, the memories washing over her like waves. I didn't understand your choices back then, she murmured. It seemed like you turned away from what we had. Our bonds suffered for it. I know, and I regret that, Martha admitted with a heavy sigh. There were nights I cried because I realized I wasn't really living. I thought having children would bring joy, but it just deepened my regrets when I struggled. I lost my way, and I felt trapped. The silence that followed filled the room, an unspoken understanding drifting between them. It was as if they had stepped into a realm far removed from the trivial squabbles of daily life. Martha continued to lay bare her heart. I faced so many obstacles: financial struggles, a marriage devoid of love, and the constant ache of longing for something deeper. I kept my family at arm's length, thinking it would protect us from my mistakes. But the truth is, I isolated myself, and in doing that, I isolated all of you. What changed? Sarah asked softly, her voice like a candle flickering in the darkness. Martha smiled wistfully. When I became a grandmother, something shifted in me. I looked at those little faces and realized I didn't want to pass down my burdens. I wanted to show them life, to break the cycle of hurt. I wanted the family to come together no matter the mistakes of our past. Edith wiped a tear from her eye, her heart full yet aching. We've all made mistakes, she whispered. Maybe that's how we find our way back to one another. Martha nodded, her own eyes glistening. It's never too late. I wanted to share this with you because I hope it helps you understand how vital it is to face our pasts and forgive. The weight of her words pressed down, but in a way that felt lighter, like a storm had passed, revealing a blue sky. They were on the brink of something monumental. It was time for revelation, for every unsaid regret to break free from the chains binding them. As they locked eyes, a shared determination surged. They could do this together. But as comforting as that thought was, a wave of anxiety washed over Lily. What if revealing their wounds only opened new scars? Can we really face it all? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, yet echoing the heart of their gathering. Martha exchanged glances with Edith and Sarah, her resolve unwavering. The only way to find out is to start talking. The air grew thick with potential, each heartbeat amplifying the significance of their next steps. They were on the edge of discovery, together as a family. What would happen when they pulled back the curtains of their past? Martha took a moment, letting the gravity of her words settle into the spaces between them. The room was charged with a nervous energy, each of them bracing for the stories that lay ahead. She could feel the questions swirling around, a tempest of thoughts and emotions just under the surface. "Let us start with memories," she said finally, her voice steady but soft. "I want to hear yours first. What do you remember about me? About family?" Lily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The thought of being vulnerable filled her with unease. But she squashed the fear down, reminding herself they were in this together. "I remember the holidays," she began hesitantly, glancing at her mother, then back to Martha. "The way you always cooked, how the house smelled like cinnamon and apples. It felt warm. But I also remember times when you weren't there. You worked so much." "That's because I was trying to keep everything afloat," Martha interjected gently, her expression shifting into one of understanding. "I thought if I worked harder, it would make everything better. But instead, I missed so much more." Edith chimed in, her voice strong with a mix of sadness and clarity. "Martha, we've always shared some good moments, even if they were few. But you were never really there for the bad times. I guess that's what hurt the most." The crack of Edith's honesty echoed in the room, and a silence fell, heavy but necessary. Each heart weighed down with their own past. Sarah, who had been quiet, finally spoke up, her words tumbling out as if she had been holding her breath. "I remember feeling confused about our family. Like we were all together but still separate. I loved the family dinners, but I felt the divide too, like something was missing. That something was me," Martha admitted, her voice laced with regret. "I thought society's expectations would lead to happiness, but I was only drifting away from you all." Tears welled in her eyes. What I built ended up feeling so fragile. As the heaviness of their shared truths filled the room, Lily felt a warmth spreading in her chest. "Maybe we can shift that. Maybe we can rebuild what's broken. But that means we need to be honest." Martha's eyes sparkled with hope, her heart racing at the thought of what lay ahead. "Yes," she exclaimed, though her voice was still soft. "Let us lay everything out. No secrets, no fears, just truth." A sense of unity washed over the group. They had already crossed a significant bridge by recognizing their pain. Now, the real challenge lay in voicing the scars that remained unspoken. "Here's what I want to know," Martha began, her voice firm now. "What is one thing you wish we could have done differently as a family? What would you change if you could?" Edith hesitated, biting her lip. "I would have liked more communication," she started, her voice wavering. "After my father died, everything fell apart. I often felt like I had to carry the weight alone, and I wished you would have been there to help me through it." Lily nodded vigorously. "I lost so much time too. I kept thinking I had to hold everything together, but I felt so lost. It's like we all stood on our own islands, waiting for someone to reach out." The dialogues intertwined like threads woven into a fabric, each revelation reinforcing their desire to mend what had been torn. They began to understand that their shared experiences were not just painful memories but vital parts of their story that needed to be embraced. Martha's heart raced as she witnessed their willingness to look deep into their emotions. But she still felt the specter of doubt creeping in. "What if we uncover things that are too painful?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Then we face them," Edith replied, her voice steadying with resolve. "Together. Because that's what family does." As their eyes met, something shifted. There was a flicker of hope that they could navigate these rough waters and emerge renewed. They had taken the first step. Now, it was time to dive deeper. But just as Martha opened her mouth to lead the conversation further, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, shattering the intensity. Everyone paused, hearts racing. What had they disrupted? No. Not now. Martha muttered, panic rising within her. What was that? Sarah gasped, looking toward the door as uncertainty filled the air. Martha's mind raced. Everything felt fragile, and now this? What new challenge awaited them? Martha's heart pounded against her chest as she exchanged worried glances with her daughters. Ignoring the chaos for a moment, she pressed her palm against the kitchen wall to steady herself. Every inch of her wanted to run and see what had happened, but the heaviness of their earlier conversation drew her back. What do you think it was? Lily asked, hesitating before she moved closer to her mother. Probably just the dishes, Martha said, trying to sound nonchalant, but even she could hear the tremor in her voice. I'll check. With every step toward the kitchen, Martha felt the weight of the earlier revelations whispering in her mind. Her intentions of honesty hung suspended in the air, fragile and aching. As she turned the corner, the sight before her was surreal. The kitchen table, once neatly set, was upturned. Plates lay shattered, glimmering shards scattered like memories lost in time. In the midst of the chaos stood her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, an innocent yet astonished look on her face as she clutched her half-empty bag of groceries. Sorry, Martha. It slipped. I was bringing over those cookies. I promised I didn't mean to disturb. Martha blinked, trying to process the overlap of worlds colliding so sharply. The cookies, the memories, the crash, it all felt like a metaphor for her life. She felt a strange sympathy for Mrs. Jenkins, a woman who had probably juggled her share of broken things too. Even as Martha sighed deeply, a laugh bubbled up inside her. It was an unintentional break in the tension, an explosion of laughter aimed at cosmic absurdity. No harm done. Just a bit of a cleanup to do, she replied, her voice warm but still tinged with disbelief. Lily and Edith joined in, their laughter stirring the air, lightening the burden they had felt moments ago. The room transformed as they helped pick up the pieces, both literal and metaphorical. As they righted the table, balance was restored, at least temporarily. Let us make this a toast to family, Sarah suggested, a twinkle in her eye. To honesty, laughter, and even broken plates. They each grabbed a remaining glass from the table, dusty but intact, raising them in the air. To family, they all echoed, their voices uniting as one force against the fragility of life. As they clinked the glasses together, Martha felt a shift, a spark beginning to glow within her. You know, she said, glancing at all their faces, this moment reminds me that it's not just the happy memories we build that matter but how we respond when things break. But amidst the warmth of the moment, a critical realization tugged at her heart. There were still deep-seated truths waiting to be expressed, expectations unspoken. They weren't finished yet. The energy in the room shifted once more, underlying emotions stepping back into view like shadows hungry for recognition. Just as she felt the need to explore these further, Edith spoke up, her expression suddenly solemn. Martha, speaking of honesty, her heart skipped a beat. There it was again. The familiar pull that drew them deeper into uncomfortable territory. What is it, Edith? Martha asked, feeling the prickle of dread mixed with anticipation. I have something you need to know. It's about Dad and us. Edith's gaze locked onto Martha's, unwavering, determined. The air thickened, and everyone fell silent, all eyes on Edith. Every eyelash filled with unshed tears, every heart racing. What was she about to say? With this kind of intimacy and courage emerging in the family, there was no telling how this revelation could change everything they had thought they knew. The sunlight flickered across the kitchen, lighting their faces in an ethereal glow, while the weight of anticipation made every second stretch. What is it? Lily breathed, the tension palpable. Martha's heart raced again. What was to come? And just like that, the warmth faded, replaced by a chill of uncertainty, the room holding its breath. Would this be the moment they all dreaded, or the moment they so desperately needed? Edith took a deep breath, grounding herself amidst the heavy silence. "Mom, there is something about Dad's past I've been meaning to share. It's not what you think. He had a life before us, before the family." The weight of her words settled in, a thick fog clouding every thought in the room. Martha's mind raced like a runaway train, trying to piece together this unexpected narrative. "What do you mean, a life?" she managed to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. Edith hesitated, her eyes darting between her sisters and their mother. There were things he never wanted us to know. Choices he made that changed everything. Martha felt a pang in her chest. The foundation of their comfortable life felt shaky, as if one strong gust could bring it all crashing down. "Is this about our family? What did he do?" Her heart beat faster, each rhythm echoing deep-seated fears she'd long buried. "Just listen, okay?" Edith urged, her voice steady yet filled with a trembling urgency. "He made sacrifices. There were moments before us that were part of him. He doesn't talk about it because he wants to protect us, but it also means he carries this weight alone." The kitchen, with its shattered remnants strewn across the floor, felt smaller now. Martha's breaths came harder, each inhalation a reminder of the walls that closed around them. "Why didn't he tell us?" She sensed the tears prickling her eyes, swallowing hard against the rush of emotion. "Didn't he trust us?" "He was scared," Lily piped up, her young voice soft yet strong. "Just like we are right now. He thought we wouldn't understand. But honestly, I think it makes him feel more human. We should know him, the real him." "Do you really think that, Lily?" Martha asked, looking at her daughter with a mixture of pride and worry. "Knowing this, could it change how we see him?" "Maybe," Edith responded. "But isn't it better to know the truth? It might help us understand why things are the way they are," Sarah concluded, nodding vigorously, determination etched into her features. "Maybe he's scared of how we'd react, scared that we'd see him differently." The revelation hung like a dark cloud, ominous yet filled with the possibility of rain. Suddenly, Martha felt an overwhelming desire to protect those pieces of her family she still held dear, including the memory of her husband, flawed as he may be. What do we do with this information?" she asked, her hands trembling slightly. Edith's gaze never wavered. "We confront him. We talk. It's time for honesty, Mom. For all of us." Martha swallowed hard, the words mixing with the taste of fear and courage. "Are we ready for that?" Before Edith could respond, the front door creaked open, cutting through the tension like a knife. A familiar voice called out, vibrant and warm. "I'm home." It was John, Martha's husband, the man who had built a life alongside her, who had created this family. Their hearts raced as they exchanged glances, uncertainty twisting like a vine around their thoughts. "Mom," Sarah whispered. "What do we say?" As steps echoed in the hallway, Martha felt her entire world narrow down to this moment. What could she reveal? What secrets would come alive? The opening was there, the honesty of their earlier laughter replaced by a weighty confrontation. Now, faced with the turning of another page, their family history beckoned like an undiscovered chapter waiting to be written, and as John entered the kitchen, Martha's heartbeat resounded in her ears, echoing the question they all feared: would they be ready to face the truth? As the kitchen door swung open, John stepped in, bringing a burst of light and warmth with him. The familiar scent of his cologne melted into the air, but the atmosphere in the room felt like a fraying thread ready to snap. His easy smile faltered as he noticed the tense silence surrounding his family. "Hey, everyone. What is going on?" John's cheerful voice cut through the unease, but his eyes darted between the four women, noticing their somber expressions. Martha's heart pounded, caught in a whirlwind of what-ifs. "Nothing, just talking," Martha replied, forcing a smile that felt glued to her face. But even as the words left her lips, it felt like a thin veil draped over an unyielding truth waiting to break free. "Talking? About what?" he inquired, stepping closer, his brow furrowing in concern. He dropped his keys onto the counter, the clatter serving as a reminder of how mundane life usually flowed, contrasting sharply with the current tension. Edith stepped forward, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Dad, we were just discussing things about family." She hesitated, the courage in her voice faltering as she glanced at her sisters. "Family? That's always a good topic." "I can share a funny story about," John started, but the moment was heavy, saturated with unspoken words. "Might be better if you just sit with us for a minute," Sarah said, her voice catching slightly. John's expression shifted, his curiosity deepening into contemplation. He took a seat at the kitchen table, eyes keenly evaluating each face around him. "Okay, I'm sitting. Now what?" His humor dimmed, replaced by a seriousness that filled every corner of the room. Martha felt a wave of regret wash over her. She opened her mouth, then closed it as the weight of uncharted territory pressed down on her like a stone. "There's something we need to talk about," she finally managed, the words trembling on her lips. "And what's that?" John asked, his hands now resting clasped on the table, waiting. "It's about your past. About the things you never shared." Edith's words hung in the space like a delicate thread ready to unravel. John took a breath, the air going thick around them. "My past? What are you talking about? I don't understand." Martha felt the tension spiral tighter, her thoughts racing through every moment they had shared, the laughter, the love, all the times they counted on each other. "It's about the secrets you've kept, John. What is it that you're hiding from us?" His eyes narrowed, and something flickered in his expression, a flash of vulnerability that Martha had never seen before. It frightened her. I don't hide anything from you. You know that. Do we? Because it feels like you've built walls around things that matter to us." Lily's voice quivered, eyes wide, searching John's face for reassurance. John's shoulders sagged slightly, and the weight of his silence said everything. He glanced around the room at his family, nothing but concern reflected back at him. "I never wanted you to see me differently. I only wanted to protect you, to keep you safe." "Safe from what?" Edith pressed, the conviction in her voice stronger now. In that moment, he looked older, further from the jovial man they all loved. "Safe from choices I've made. Mistakes. That part of my life it's not easy to share." Silence settled again, the air thick with tension. The questions lingered, waiting for answers that felt like they might shatter everything they knew. Martha held her breath, afraid that once the truth began to spill, it could never be contained again. "What would happen if we saw you, if we knew the real you?" Sarah whispered, her voice full of hope and fear all at once. John ran a hand through his hair, then looked at each of them, vulnerability shining in his eyes. Maybe it's time to show you the man I was and the man I am now." Martha's heart ached as she felt the words breathe life into the unspoken fears they shared. What revelations were waiting in the shadows? Just then, the crack of thunder rolled outside, echoing the turmoil of emotions swirling in the room. Would they finally uncover the truth that could change everything? John sighed deeply, the weight of his daughter's expectant gazes pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. For a moment, he considered retreating, falling back on his well-practiced habit of evasion that had kept him safe in the past. But glancing around at their worried faces, he knew he couldn't hide anymore. "I guess I've been living with a ghost," he began, his voice low and trembling. "I made decisions before I met your mother, choices that haunt me still." He frowned, the shadows of memories flickering behind his eyes. "I thought I could outrun them. Thought I could protect you all by shielding you from my mistakes." "Believe me, Dad," Edith interjected, her voice steady yet desperate, "we can handle the truth. We need to know. We want to understand you better." John's hands trembled slightly as he clasped them tighter together. "There was a time when I got caught up in things that could have cost me everything. There are parts of my life I never wanted to revisit. I thought I'd buried them deep enough to never resurface." The thunder rumbled again, a booming companion to the storm brewing inside the room. "I had a problem," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "A gambling problem. At first, it was just for fun, but it spiraled out of control. I lost friends, money, even tormented your mother with lies. I promised her I'd changed, and I forced myself to keep that promise every day since." Martha's heart trembled at the memory of those sleepless nights. "I never knew," she murmured softly, tears stinging her eyes. How had he kept this from her? How had they managed to stay afloat through such a storm? "It's not what you think," John rushed to say, desperate to clarify. "I sought help, and with every step I took to be better, I tried to shut that door forever. I simply didn't want you to see me as broken." Lily leaned in closer, her brow crinkled. "But it's not brokenness that makes us family, Dad. It's the messy, painful stuff too. That's what binds us." "Exactly," Edith said, her voice echoing Lily's sentiment. "We won't think any less of you, we just want the truth." John searched their faces, grappling with the intensity of his emotions. They were right. Perhaps sharing the darker corners of his past wouldn't sever their bonds but could instead create a deeper connection. He took a shuddering breath and continued, "I still go to meetings. That part of me never fully goes away. It's a battle I face every day." Martha's heart ached as she thought of the weight he lived with, the nights he likely felt alone in his struggle. "Why didn't you say anything? It could have changed so much for all of us." "Because I felt your mother's love gave me a chance to start over," John replied, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I didn't want to drag either of you back into the chaos I created. You deserved better." The silence that followed was suffocating, filled with shared realizations, a gravitational pull to the truth that had been lurking in the shadows. "Dad," Sarah finally spoke, her voice soft but resolute, "we're proud of the man you are now, and we're here for you as you continue to become even more." He met each of their eyes, a renewed sense of hope filling the cracks of his past. "Maybe it's time we faced the ghosts together," he whispered, an unfamiliar warmth emerging from the depths of his heart. Just then, as if on cue, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the kitchen, followed by a sharp crack of thunder that shook the walls. They all jumped, the noise breaking the tense barrier that had settled around them. "Okay, I guess that's the universe telling us to keep going," John said with a tentative smile, a flicker of humor returning to his voice. "Where do we begin?" Martha felt a renewed surge of strength. They were ready for the truth, prepared to face the shadows together as family. But suddenly, another thought struck her, a question that loomed large. "What else are there in those shadows, John? What else don't we know?" The air grew thick again, anticipation drumming in her chest. The storm outside felt like a mere whisper compared to the storm brewing inside them. What more awaited them in the labyrinth of his past? As they gathered around the kitchen table, intertwined emotions surged within them like waves crashing against a rocky shore, each crest holding the unspoken truths of their family. John sat at the head, strengthened by the warmth of love but torn apart by the burdens he bore. The echoes of thunder rumbled outside, yet the warmth in the room started to spread like sunlight breaking through clouds. It felt like the calm before a transformational storm, an awakening of old wounds. "I guess I really have to start from the beginning," John said, his voice firm yet softening. With every word, he unveiled pieces of himself long buried, exposing old scars like shades of gray illuminating the once vibrant colors of their lives. "There was a time when I got wrapped up in friendships that weren't good for me," he began. "I fell in with a crew that liked taking risks, and I was too young to see where it would lead. The first round felt like a game. But soon, the stakes became too high." Martha felt her heart clench as she listened, each revelation twinging with shards of painful memories. "I struggled to keep it all hidden," John continued. "But the weight of lies kept growing, and guilt kept gnawing at me. After I met your mother, things changed. I thought I was given a second chance," he said, glancing at Martha, his eyes full of regret and love. "But the fears lingered. It felt like a shadow stalking my every move." "And you thought keeping it to yourself would protect us?" Sarah piped up softly, her tone understanding, yet probing. "But have you thought about how much that drove us apart?" John nodded slowly, embarrassment warming his cheeks. "I see that now. I was focused on protecting you from my past rather than just being present with you in the moment." The silence that followed weighed heavily, but even in the heaviness, a silver thread began to weave through their hearts. The more John shared, the clearer it became, honesty was healing. Martha found it so hard to give up on me, John said, his voice breaking gently. The sacrifices she made, keeping our family afloat when my dark secrets threatened to pull us under, it took everything from her. Martha squeezed her hands together, allowing tears to spill down her cheeks. You fought hard, but we both carried the weight. We got lost along the way, living in that echo of silence. I wanted to help you, but I needed you too. Consumed by the moment, Lily found the courage to speak up for her own truth. What about me? I've carried expectations, thinking I had to be perfect, that I couldn't let anyone down. I wish I knew it was okay to fail. John stared at her, awe and guilt twisting together in his chest. You weren't meant to carry that weight alone. I thought I was shielding you, but instead, I threw chains on you. As their words collided like fireworks bursting in the night sky, they each began to feel a sense of liberation. The honesty spilled out, revealing a sense of freedom that only comes from facing shared battles head-on. Edith leaned in, encouraged. We all felt lost. This family fell apart because we avoided the storm. We can't do that anymore. Together, they began to reshape the narrative. Painful memories transformed into building blocks, revealing what they truly valued each other. Hours passed, laughter erupted in unexpected moments, and tears flowed freely. They became a tapestry of shared experiences, each thread unique, yet together they created something unparalleled. Family.as John wiped his eyes, he smiled, the weight of his past beginning to lift. I want you to know I'll always keep fighting. I'm committed for all of you. Martha felt her heart swell with pride and hope. And together, we'll be stronger, no more just fighting our battles alone. We'll carry our truths and burdens together. As the storm faded outside, leaving behind the fragrant scent of fresh earth, they all looked at one another, freshly unburdened spirits reflected in their eyes. Let us build on this, Lily suggested, her joy infectious. We'll celebrate every little win, face the storms fully together, and create our own stories. And in that moment, a shared understanding lit up the kitchen like a beacon, a steadfast promise to never again let unspoken words pull them apart. This is where their journey had led them, not just to uncover secrets, but to rewrite their family's story with love, honesty, and strength. Emotions surged through them like winter's chill fading into spring. They stood on the threshold of something beautiful and transformative. From broken plates to bonded hearts, they were ready to write their next chapter. As they departed from the table, leaving behind the remnants of their past, John looked around, filled with gratitude. And just like that, we're a family again, he whispered, a radiant smile lighting up his face. The air buzzed with voices of encouragement, dreams uncovered. It was only the beginning, but hope was alive and pulsing strong, paving the way for brighter days ahead. Now, dear friends, it's your turn. Don't just sit back, take action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will uplift and inspire you. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep this positive energy flowing. Comment below your reactions. Tell me how you felt about this powerful transformation, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting journey and spark change in their own lives. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. Let us keep this energy alive together.